May his soul find... Stop lowering him. This time, everyone heard. Heads turned. A small gray family car had stopped near the cemetery entrance. A woman stood beside it. Nobody recognized her. That was the first thing that made the crowd uncomfortable. She did not look like someone who belonged there. She wore a plain beige cardigan over a loose maternity dress. Her hair was pulled back carelessly. Her shoes were practical. There was a small stain on her sleeve, probably from one of her children. She looked like someone who had left a grocery store halfway through shopping, not someone who had interrupted the burial of the most feared man in the city. A man near the grave frowned. "Who are you?" "The woman who stopped the Mafia king's burial." The priest had reached the final prayer when the woman screamed, "Stop!" Nobody moved. The cemetery remained silent beneath the gray afternoon sky. Rows of black suits surrounded the open grave. Men who had spent their lives around violence watched the coffin descend. The name on the marble stone frightened entire cities. Ryden Kerr, the man who controlled the underground shipping routes, the man who ended wars between criminal families with a conversation, the man whose enemies disappeared and whose allies never betrayed him twice. Now he was dead. At least, that was what everyone believed. The priest continued. The woman ignored him. Her eyes stayed on the coffin. "Do not bury him." A few men exchanged confused looks. Then someone laughed. A pregnant woman had walked into a private Mafia burial and ordered everyone to stop. The funeral director approached her. "Ma'am, you need to leave." She looked at him. "No. You don't understand where you are." "Yes, I do." Her eyes moved around the cemetery. Private family burial, restricted access. No media, no police presence except the officers near the entrance. She pointed. 3 security teams, 2 watching the road, 1 watching the family. The men became still. "You expected trouble." Nobody answered. The woman stepped closer. "I need to speak with him." A man near the front scoffed. "He is dead." She looked at him. "No." The cemetery became silent. "He promised me the truth." The man shook his head. "You are insane." Her expression did not change. "Maybe." She looked back at the coffin. "But he is not to be buried until he keeps his promise." The man who stepped forward was Ryden's younger half-brother. Darren Kerr. He walked toward her. "You have 5 seconds to explain why you are standing at my brother's grave." The woman looked at him. "Your brother was my husband." Silence. Darren stared at her. The funeral director stopped moving. Several men looked at one another. Someone whispered, "Impossible." Dan laughed once. "My brother was never married." The woman reached into her bag. Several guards moved. She stopped. "I am not carrying a weapon." She removed a document folder. "Marriage certificate." Dan looked at the family lawyer. "Check it." The lawyer walked forward. He opened the document. His face changed. Darren noticed. "What?" "It appears legitimate." Darren took it. The signature belonged to Ryden. The marriage had taken place 8 years earlier. 8 years before anyone knew there was a woman in Ryden Kerr's life. Darren looked at her. "Who are you?" "Elson Hale." The name meant nothing to him. That was impossible. If Ryden had married, they expected someone powerful. A politician's daughter, a wealthy heiress, a woman from another criminal family, not this ordinary-looking stranger. Dan looked toward the car. 2 children sat inside with an older woman. Watching, his face hardened. "How many?" "2. Elson rested one hand over her stomach. "And one more." Ryden Kerr had no known children, no known wife, no private family. Yet this woman had arrived with documents proving she had been all 3. Darren looked at the funeral director. "Continue." Elson stepped directly between the coffin and the grave. "No." A guard moved toward her. "Touch me, and I scream." The guard stopped. Dan looked at her. "You think screaming will stop us?" "No." She raised her phone. "You think nobody is watching?" A recording application was open. "I sent copies of my marriage certificate, the children's birth records, and a statement to 3 lawyers before coming here. If I disappear, everything is released. Dairn studied her. You planned this. Yes. You thought we would attack you. Yes. Why? Because someone must have killed my husband. He was not planning to die yet. He told me that. The men around the grave stiffened. Ryden died of a heart attack. Elsin looked at the coffin. No. How do you know? Because Ryden does not die conveniently. She touched her stomach. And he owes me the truth. Dairn stared at her. You are stopping a funeral because you believe a dead man owes you an explanation? Yes. You understand how that sounds? Yes. And you still came? Yes. Why? Her eyes returned to the coffin. He promised me. Her voice lowered. He said after the baby arrived, he would tell me everything. She touched her stomach again. He does not get to die before that. Ryden Kerr could not be buried that afternoon. Police arrived, lawyers arrived. The coffin remained suspended above the grave. The family lawyer confirmed the marriage certificate was genuine. The children's birth records named no father publicly, but sealed documents attached to Ryden's private estate confirmed paternity. That discovery created another problem. As Ryden's legal wife, Elsin had standing to challenge the handling of his remains. Dairn wanted the burial completed. Elsin refused. The police would not force the funeral to continue, while lawyers argued over whether she had the right to demand an independent examination. For 5 hours, Ryden remained above ground. Elsin stayed beside the grave. People questioned her. She gave the same answer. He owes me the truth. By the 4th hour, several members of Rydan's family openly called her unstable. They were not entirely wrong. Elsin had not slept properly since learning of Rydan's death. She had driven to the cemetery with no proof he was alive. Only conviction. She knew Rydan, or she thought she did. He lied easily when he believed a lie protected something important. He disappeared without explanation. He changed identities, created false companies, moved people across borders. Once, he had arranged for a man to be seen entering 3 countries in the same week, while the real man was locked in a basement outside the city. Nothing was beyond him, not even his own funeral. Elsin had spent years trying to understand which parts of Ryden were real. Now she looked at his coffin and reached the only conclusion her exhausted mind could tolerate. He was doing it again. He had staged his death. She did not know why. A war, an enemy, a trap. It did not matter. He would wake up. Then she would make him explain. At 6:14 that evening, the lawyers reached a temporary agreement. The burial would not continue. Ryden's body would be returned to the funeral home while the dispute was reviewed. Elsin watched the coffin loaded into the hearse. Dairn approached her. You have delayed this long enough. Elsin looked at him. I am not finished. My brother is dead. He has said that before. Dairn frowned. What? Elsin walked away. The hearse left the cemetery at 6:27. It never reached the funeral home. At 6:41, its tracking signal disappeared. At 6:46, the funeral director called Dairn. At 6:52, the driver was found sitting beside an empty road with his hands bound. He was unharmed. The coffin was gone. So was Elsin Hale. By 7:30, Ryden Kerr's family knew exactly what had happened. His pregnant secret wife had kidnapped his corpse. By 8, the police knew. By 9, the press had the story. Before midnight, the entire city was watching. Unknown widow steals Mafia king's body. Secret wife and 3 hidden children exposed at burial. Pregnant woman abducts husband's coffin after 5-hour funeral standoff. Photographs from the cemetery appeared online. Elsin in her beige cardigan. Elsin standing before the grave. Elsin holding her marriage certificate. Elsin beside the ordinary grey car. No one knew where she had gone. Dairn appeared publicly and asked her to return Ryden's remains. We understand that grief can cause people to behave unpredictably. No one wants to harm Mrs. Kerr. We only want my brother returned to his family. Elsin watched the statement from a television in a kitchen no one knew existed. Liar, she said. Ryden's coffin lay in the next room. She had not planned the abduction after arriving at the cemetery. She had planned it 3 hours into the delay. The funeral home's transport system had been designed by a security company Ryden secretly owned. Elsin knew the protocols because she had helped test them years earlier. She knew where the cameras were. She knew which vehicle code would open the service gate. She knew the hearse route. She knew how long it took for the tracking system to report a disruption. Most importantly, she knew a man named Sethran Pike. Sethran had once worked as a medic for Ryden. Years earlier, Elsin had discovered his name on a list of men scheduled to be killed during an internal purge. She warned him. He disappeared. Now he drove the vehicle that intercepted the hearse. The entire operation took 9 minutes. The driver was restrained. The coffin transferred, the hearse abandoned. Elsin and Sethran changed vehicles twice. Then they drove to a house hidden behind a row of abandoned farm buildings. Ryden had purchased it 12 years earlier through 4 shell companies. He had never taken Elsin there. She found it while auditing his hidden properties. He never knew she knew. That was the problem with Ryden. He kept secrets from everyone, so Elsin learned to keep some from him. Sethran stood in the kitchen. You need to open the coffin. Elsin looked at him. No, you stole a dead man. He is not dead. Sethran stared at her. Elsin, he is waiting. For what? I don't know. That is not an answer. It is the answer I have. Sethran looked toward the next room. You stopped a burial? Yes. Stole a hearse? Yes. Abducted a corpse? Yes. And you brought 2 children into hiding while 7 months pregnant. The children are not here. Sethran stopped. Elsin had moved them before the funeral. They were with a woman Ryden did not know she trusted. She had also changed their school records, disabled the trackers in their devices, and activated 3 false trails. Sethran looked at her. You planned for people to come after your children. I married Ryden Kerr. That was answer enough. He sat down. What happens when he doesn't wake up? Elsin looked at the closed door. He will. How long? She did not answer. By morning, Ryden had not moved. Elsin sat beside the coffin. She had opened the lid during the night. She did not tell Sethran. Ryden looked dead. His face was pale. His skin was cold. She hated that. He was supposed to look as though he were pretending. He did not. She sat beside him. You can stop now. Nothing. You made your point. Nothing. She leaned closer. I took you. Her voice lowered. Your entire family is looking for me. No response. You owe me. Nothing. For 8 years, Ryden had always reacted when she said that. Sometimes with anger, sometimes silence. Once by leaving the house for 9 days. But he reacted. Now he did nothing. Elsin closed the coffin, opened it again 3 minutes later. At noon, Dern released another public appeal. Elsin, wherever you are, my brother deserves dignity. She turned off the television. By evening, police had searched 3 properties connected to her. They found nothing. Ryden had hidden her too well. Her suburban house was owned by a trust, with no public connection to him. The children used her surname. Her marriage record had been sealed. Her bank accounts were independent. No photographs connected them. No guards had ever been allowed inside her home. Ryden had spent 8 years making sure nobody could find his family. Now his own people were discovering how successful he had been. They searched for Elsin. They found old addresses, closed accounts, a former workplace. Nothing useful. By the second night, the public spectacle had become humiliation. A criminal empire could not find its dead leader. A pregnant suburban woman had taken him. Dayan's men began threatening Sethran's old associates. Ryden's mother appealed publicly. The police warned Elsin that interfering with human remains was a serious offense. Elsin watched everything. Rydan still did not move. Her certainty began to fracture. She stood beside the coffin. "Why would you do this?" "Nothing," she paced. "If you needed to disappear, you could have told me." Then she stopped. "No, you would not." That was true. Rydan told her nothing. She had spent years inside a life designed by a man who answered questions only when silence became impossible. Maybe he had not staged anything. Maybe he was dead. The thought entered fully for the first time. Elsin sat on the floor. She stayed there for an hour. Then she stood and went to the coffin. "I was wrong." Her voice broke. She touched his face. "I thought you were lying again." Rydan moved. Barely. Elsin froze. His fingers shifted. Once, then stopped. She stared. "Rydan?" "Nothing." She seized his wrist. No pulse she could find. "Sethran." The door opened. Sethran ran in. Elsin pointed. He moved. Sethran looked at her. He moved. "Elsin." He moved. Sethran checked him, then checked again. His face changed. "Help me get him out." Rydan Kerr had been buried alive. Almost. The poison in his body had suppressed his heart rate and breathing. The doctor who declared him dead had been part of the conspiracy. The rush to bury him was not tradition. It was the final stage of the murder. The men behind it knew the drug might wear off. They needed Rydan underground before it did. Elsin had delayed the burial for 5 hours, then stolen the coffin. Her irrational conviction had saved his life. But Rydan did not wake as she expected. He woke screaming. His body convulsed. His eyes opened without recognition. He could not breathe properly. Sethran treated him with the limited equipment available. Elsin stood against the wall. This was not a staged death. There was no hidden plan, no explanation waiting behind Rydan's eyes. Someone had tried to kill him, and whoever had done it was now searching for his body. Rydan regained full consciousness the next morning. Elsin was sitting across the room. He looked at her, then at the unfamiliar ceiling. His voice barely worked. "Where?" "Somewhere you bought and forgot." He tried to move. Pain stopped him. "What happened?" "You died." His eyes closed briefly. "Apparently not." "I stole you." That made him look at her again. "From where?" "Your funeral." Silence. Rydan stared. Elsin waited. Then his eyes changed. "Dern? Was there? Calder? Yes. My mother? Yes. The captains? Most of them. Who took me? I did. I mean before. I don't know." Rydan tried to sit. Elsin stopped him with one hand. He was too weak to resist. "You are sick. I know. You were poisoned." His eyes sharpened. "How do you know?" "Sethran." Rydan looked toward the door. "You found Sethran Pike?" "Yes. I have been looking for him for 6 years." "I know." Rydan stared at her. Elsin looked back. There were many things they had never told each other. Now neither had the strength to be surprised. Rydan lowered his head. "The children. Safe. Where?" "No." His eyes lifted. "No. You do not know where they are. They are my children. They are alive because no one knows where they are." Rydan said nothing. The reversal was complete. For years, he had controlled the information around her. Now his survival depended on what she refused to tell him. Elsin stood. "You promised me the truth." He closed his eyes. "Not now." She went still. "Do not do that. I can barely breathe." "You promised." "Elsin, you were almost buried. I noticed. You could still die." "Yes." "Then tell me." Rydan looked at her. "You stole my corpse because I owed you a conversation." "Yes." He studied her face. For a moment, something almost softened in his. Then pain replaced it. "Get me a phone." "No. I need my men." "Your men put you in a coffin. My loyal men. You do not know which ones are loyal." That stopped him. Elsin continued. "Only a few selected people attended your funeral. Someone among them wanted you underground quickly. Until we know who, you remain dead." Rydan looked at her, the woman he had hidden for 8 years, the woman he believed needed his protection. She had stopped his burial, stolen his body, hidden his children, found a man he had failed to find for 6 years, and now she was telling him how to survive. He leaned back. "Tell me everything." 8 years earlier, Elsin Hale had worked for one of Ryden's shipping companies. She was not a criminal when she entered it. She became one after discovering what several senior employees were doing. Women were being moved through legitimate cargo routes, false manifests, bribed port officials, containers marked as medical equipment. Elsin found the pattern. She reported it internally. Nothing happened, so she acted alone. She entered systems she was not authorized to access, copied financial records, moved money from criminal accounts, changed shipment routes, sent information to victims' families, deleted files she believed would protect the women. She saved several lives. She also destroyed evidence in an active investigation. 2 suspects were killed after one of her altered transfers exposed them. Millions disappeared. Government witnesses vanished. Elsin became both a criminal suspect and a target. Ryden found her first. He took her to a secure property. She called it kidnapping. He called it protection. He controlled where she went, who she contacted, what information she received. Elsin believed he kept her because he knew what she had done. Ryden never corrected her. He spent 2 years destroying the evidence against her. He paid lawyers she never met, moved blame onto men who were already guilty, absorbed financial losses into his own companies, silenced people who tried to sell her name. He never told her. At first, because the danger remained. Later, because too much time had passed, and because Ryden Kerr was a man who understood sacrifice better than explanation. He believed carrying the burden alone was love. Elsin experienced it as control. Their relationship developed inside that imbalance, slowly, badly, with anger. Elsin challenged him constantly. Ryden returned even when he said he would not. Their attraction became a relationship neither knew how to name. Then Elsin became pregnant. She accused him of trapping her. Ryden denied it. She did not believe him. Before Tamsin was born, he married her legally, privately. Elsin believed the marriage gave him another way to keep her. Ryden believed it gave her and the child legal protection if he died. Neither said what they actually feared. Jory came 3 years later. Ryden visited the suburban house when he could, sometimes twice in 1 week, sometimes not for a month. He never brought his men, never allowed photographs outside the house, never publicly acknowledged Elsin. She believed she was a hidden possession, a woman he visited when he wanted a family without allowing her to enter his real life. Ryden believed secrecy was the only reason his family remained alive. He had enemies who watched everything he valued, so he acted as though he valued nothing. That included his wife. When Elsin discovered the 3rd pregnancy, something in her broke. Ryden came home after midnight. She was waiting in his study with one of his guns. She pointed it at him. He stopped. "Put it down." "No. You are pregnant." "I know. That is why you are here." He looked at her stomach, then back at her. "What happened?" "You happened. Ellison, you keep making it harder for me to leave." His face changed. "I have never stopped you. You know what they can do to me." "Who?" "The police." Ryden said nothing. That silence confirmed everything she believed. "You know what I did?" "Yes." "You know how long I could go to prison?" "Yes." "And you keep me here. I keep you alive. I did not ask you." "No." She raised the gun higher. "Release me." Ryden looked at the weapon, then at her. "After the baby is born, I will tell you everything." "No, everything." "You have said that before. Not like this." "And then?" He answered. "Then I open every door." She lowered the gun. 3 days later, Ryden Kerr was declared dead. Now he lay weak in a hidden farmhouse while the city searched for his corpse. Elsin watched the public reports. Dan pleaded for the return of his brother. Calder Rusk, Ryden's advisor of 16 years, offered a reward. Ryden's mother called Elsin, disturbed, and begged her to return her son. Ryden watched the recording twice, then asked, "Who arranged the burial?" "Calder." "Who chose the doctor?" Darren said Calder did. "Who ordered the sealed coffin?" "Calder." "Too easy." Ryden looked at Elsin. "What are you thinking? That you want Calder to be guilty?" "Yes." "So it is probably not only Calder." Ryden said nothing. Elsin continued. "Someone needed him close enough to arrange everything. Someone else needed enough authority to make everyone obey." Dan. "Maybe. You don't believe it. I believe obvious answers are usually prepared." Ryden looked at her for a long moment. "You have become difficult." "I was always difficult." "I know. There was no playfulness in it. Only history." The first real attack came 2 days later. Not at the farmhouse, at Elsin's suburban home. 3 men entered after midnight. They found the house empty. Within 6 minutes, police arrived. Elsin had rigged the security system to send evidence automatically if anyone entered without the correct sequence. The men escaped. One left blood behind. Sethran ran the sample through a private contact. The man worked for a security company controlled by Calder. Ryden looked at Elsin. "Now do you believe the obvious answer?" "No." "Why?" "Because Calder knows I can trace his company." Ryden understood. Someone was placing Calder in front of them. The next morning, Calder was found dead, shot in his own car. The public assumed the Mafia was tearing itself apart after Ryden's death. Ryden knew better. Calder had been part of the conspiracy, but he had not led it. Someone had killed him before he could speak. The trail led back to Ryden's family, not Dan, his mother, Merith Kerr. For 40 years, Merith had protected the Kerr empire. She had watched Ryden become more powerful than the family itself. Then she discovered something he had hidden, not Elsin, the children. She did not know who they were, only that Ryden had created secret trusts and moved a significant part of his legitimate wealth beyond the family's control. Merith believed an unknown woman was preparing to take the empire through Ryden's heirs. Calder discovered the same financial movements. He convinced Merith that Ryden planned to abandon the family and dismantle their operations. Merith approved the poisoning. Calder arranged it. Darren knew only that Ryden had suffered a sudden medical collapse. Then, after Elsin appeared at the funeral, Calder realized the hidden beneficiaries were Ryden's wife and children. He ordered the attack on her home. Merith discovered what he had done. She killed him, not to protect Elsin, to prevent him from exposing her. The truth came from Darren. He found Elsin first, not because he was smarter than Ryden, because Elsin allowed him to. She sent him a message from Ryden's private system. One sentence. "You wanted your brother's corpse. Come alone." Darren came. He entered the farmhouse expecting a coffin. Ryden was sitting in a chair, alive. Darren stopped breathing. Ryden looked at him. Disappointed? Darren could not speak. Then he crossed the room and struck his brother. Ryden nearly fell. Elsin raised a weapon. Darren turned. He deserved that. Elsin considered it, then lowered the gun. Darren looked at Ryden. "You let us bury you." "I was unconscious." "You married." "Yes." "You have children." "Yes." "You told me nothing." "Yes." Darren's anger cracked. "Mother knows." Ryden went still. That was how the final truth emerged. They set a trap for Merith. Ryden remained officially dead. Elsin offered to return the body. She demanded the truth in exchange. The entire city already believed she was unstable enough to bargain with a corpse. That made the plan believable. Merith agreed to meet. She came with armed men. Elsin arrived in her ordinary grey family car, 7 months pregnant. A coffin waited inside an abandoned funeral warehouse. Merith looked at her. "You caused all this because a dead man owed you a conversation." "Yes." "You are not well." "No." The answer unsettled Merith. Elsin continued. "But I was right. Merith looked toward the coffin. "What do you want?" "To know why you killed him." Merith's face did not change. "I did not. You rushed the burial. My son was dead. You did not request another examination. There was no need. You refused to open the coffin. Grief does not make everyone behave like you." Elsin looked at her. "No, sometimes it makes people kill their children before those children can leave them." Merith's men moved. Then Ryden's voice came from behind her. "Is that what you did?" Merith turned. Ryden stood in the doorway, weak, pale, alive. For the first time in decades, Merith Kerr looked afraid. Her men hesitated. Dan entered behind Ryden, then loyal captains. The warehouse doors closed. Merith looked at her sons. "You do not understand what he was doing." Redan said nothing. "You were giving everything away. To my children. You hid heirs from your own blood. To keep them alive. You were leaving us. I was trying to leave this life." Merith looked at Elsin. For the first time, she understood. The ordinary woman, the 2 children, the pregnancy, the secret marriage. "You did all this for her?" Ryden looked at his wife. "Yes." One word. 8 years too late. Elsin heard it anyway. Merith reached for the weapon beneath her coat. Elsin had expected that. The floor beneath Merith's position had already been treated with industrial oil. She slipped before clearing the weapon. Dan kicked it away. No impossible fight. No heroic gun battle. Preparation. Merith was arrested with the evidence Calder had left behind and the recording Elsin had made throughout the meeting. The doctor confessed. The poison was identified. The conspiracy ended. Ryden Kerr returned from the dead. But Elsin still wanted the truth. The city celebrated Ryden's survival. His men reclaimed their positions. His enemies disappeared. None of it mattered inside the quiet suburban house where Ryden placed a box on the dining table. Elsin stood opposite him. "What is that?" "Your freedom." She did not move. He opened it. Files, bank records, court documents, letters from lawyers, the complete history of what she had done 8 years earlier, and everything Ryden had done afterward. Elsin read for 2 hours. Ryden remained silent. She learned that the investigation against her had ended years ago. The evidence connecting her to the system breach had been destroyed. The money had been recovered through Ryden's companies. The surviving traffickers who knew her identity were dead or imprisoned. She had not been legally trapped for years. She looked at him. "You knew?" "Yes. You let me believe I could still go to prison." "Yes. Why?" "At first, because people were still looking for you." "And later?" Ryden did not answer quickly. "Because by then, you had Tamsin." Elsin stared at him. "You thought I would leave?" "Yes." "So you kept quiet?" "Yes." The truth was ugly, not noble, not entirely. Ryden had protected her. He had also been afraid to lose her. Both things were true. Elsin looked through the remaining documents. The house was hers. The children's trusts were hers to control. Full custody arrangements had already been prepared. There were signed divorce papers. Ryden had signed them before his death. She looked at the date. The night after she held him at gunpoint. "You were going to let me go?" "Yes. After the baby. I wanted you medically safe first. You could have told me." "I should have." She looked at him. "Why did you marry me?" Ryden was silent. "Because of Tamsin?" "No." "Because you needed to control what I could say?" "No." "Because of my crimes?" "No." "Then why?" He looked at her. "Because I loved you." Elsin did not move. Ryden continued. "I loved you before I hid you." Her face changed. "I found out what you had done before the police knew your name. I should have handed you over." "Why didn't you?" "Because you had destroyed your life trying to save people you had never met." "That is not an answer. It is the beginning of one." He stepped closer. "I protected you because I loved you. Then I hid what I had done because I wanted you to stay." Elsin's eyes filled. "You let me hate you." "Yes." "You watched me believe I was your prisoner." "Yes." "You kept coming back." "Yes." "You kept getting me pregnant." Ryden's face tightened. I never planned any of the children. I believed you did. I know, you never corrected anything. I thought actions were enough. They were not. I know that now. She looked at the divorce papers. What happens if I sign? You leave. The children, with you. The house, yours. My past, closed. Your men will never follow you. And you. Ryden looked at her. I will stay away. That was the freedom she had demanded. Elsin signed. Ryden left that night. He did not return. For 8 months, Elsin lived without him. The baby was born, a girl. Ryden came to the hospital only after Elsin gave permission. He held his daughter, then left. He saw the children according to a schedule Elsin created. He never entered the house without being invited. He never asked her to reconsider the divorce. He dismantled the parts of his empire that had made his family a target. He gave evidence against the remaining trafficking networks. He moved his legitimate businesses into public structures. The feared Mafia king did the one thing Elsin had never believed he could do. He released control. That was when she finally understood what remained after it. She still waited for his car without meaning to, still noticed the empty chair at dinner, still heard his voice when she solved something difficult. She had wanted freedom from fear, freedom from secrecy, freedom from being controlled. She had mistaken that for wanting freedom from him. They were not the same. One evening, 8 months after the divorce, Ryden arrived to collect the children. Elsin opened the door. He stopped outside. He always stopped there now. You can come in. He entered. The children were upstairs. The baby was asleep. Elsin placed a document on the table. Ryden looked at it. Their divorce decree. What is this? You gave me what I wanted. Yes. You gave me the truth. Yes. You gave me the choice. Yes. She looked at him. I chose badly. Ryden did not move. Elsin continued. I thought staying meant I had no freedom. He said nothing. I needed to leave to know whether I would come back. His voice was quiet. And I came back. Ryden looked at her for a long time. You do not owe me that because I protected you. I know. Or because of the children. I know. Or because I almost died. I know. Elsin stepped closer. I am choosing you because you finally stopped choosing for me. Something in Ryden broke. He reached for her, then stopped. Even now, waiting. Elsin took his hand herself. A year later, Ryden attended Tamsin's school presentation openly. No secret entrance, no false name, no separate car. Parents stared. Elsin sat beside him with the baby on her lap. Jory slept against Ryden's shoulder. Their life was not perfectly safe. It was no longer hidden. After the presentation, Tamsin asked, why did everyone think Dad was dead? Elsin answered, because he was very close. Ryden looked at her. Tamsin frowned. Then why didn't they bury him? Elsin adjusted the baby's blanket. Because he owed me something. What? The truth. Tamsin considered that. Did he give it to you? Elsin looked at Ryden. Yes. Was it worth stealing him? Ryden waited. Elsin thought about the cemetery, the coffin, the city searching for a corpse, the man who had protected her badly, loved her silently, controlled too much, sacrificed too much, and finally learned to open his hand. Yes, she said. Then she looked at her husband. But next time, he can simply talk. Ryden did not smile. Neither did Elsin. Some things were too serious to turn into jokes. He only took her hand, and this time, she was the one who held on. If this story stayed with you until the very end, thank you, truly. I write these stories because I'm fascinated by people, the choices they make, the mistakes they regret, the love they never expected, and the moments that change everything. Every character, every plot twist, every emotional turn, and every ending begins as a blank page before it's carefully written into the story you've just experienced. While AI-assisted narration and visuals help bring these stories to life, the stories themselves are originally written by me, from the first idea to the final twist. If you enjoyed this one, I'd be grateful if you liked the video, subscribed to the channel, shared it with someone who loves emotional stories, and turned on the notification bell. It really helps me keep creating more stories for you. Until our next journey, Jetta Valine.